Hey guys, I'm Hellhound, and I'm afraid I have some really tragic news. If you haven't already heard, we lost another horror legend today. Tobe Hooper, the great mind behind such films as Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist, is sadly no longer with us. This is very heartbreaking for me. He was in his I think mid-70s, I believe. So he did live a fairly long life, which is good. But I don't think he'd been really making films quite as much anymore, but he didn't need to. He had some of the greatest horror films of all time under his belt. He's had a very lengthy catalog of horror classics. He hadn't really done anything amazing in more recent years. Like, I think kind of his best work is kind of behind him, kind of his early work. But still, all those masterpieces are just a testament to what a great filmmaker he was. A lot of beloved movies he was responsible for, and he's really shaped my life as a horror fan in a lot of ways. Very inspirational, very influential director. A lot of today's good horror films should definitely have a lot to owe to the great Tobe Hooper. So yeah, what else can I say? Rest in peace, Tobe Hooper. Your legacy will live on forever. You'll never be forgotten. I mean, gosh, he was just what he did for horror was just nearly unparalleled. He was definitely my top 5 favorite horror directors, along with John Carpenter, who's my #1 favorite, and Wes Craven, who also is no longer with us, sadly. We're losing a lot of them lately. And a few others. A lot of those Italian directors and Italian horror, which I like a lot, and and the list just goes on and on. But he was definitely in my top 5, and I'm very sad to hear about his passing. So I'll go ahead and pay a little homage, a little tribute to him here with my own personal top 5 favorite Tobe Hooper films. I was going to make this a separate video, but I figured I'd go ahead and combine the two together, rest in peace and my little top 5. This list is subject to change. These are all just kind of my current top 5 favorite Tobe Hooper films. I know he's got a lot of other movies aside from these, but anyway, I definitely recommend that you check out Eaten Alive. This is a really good movie. It came out in 1976 or 77, I believe. It's about a demented hillbilly in the backwoods, and it's in the swamp, the backwoods swamps area, and he's got a pet crocodile. It says it's a crocodile right here in the back of the case, but I thought it was an alligator. But no, I guess it's a crocodile. Weirdly enough, Tobe Hooper actually directed a movie called Crocodile several years later, like in 2002 or 2003, I believe, or maybe even earlier than that. Maybe even the year 2000. I don't remember when it came out, but he directed a movie called Crocodile. I actually own it over there. Not one of his better ones, but this definitely is, one of his early movies. This is, this is right after Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a huge hit, and this was kind of like a spiritual follow-up. Demented hillbilly and his pet alligator who eats people. He kills people and feeds them to his crocodile. That crocodile. Crocodiles are in Australia, right? It's a crocodile in this. I'm not sure where it takes place, but anyway, this movie also has a young Robert Englund, a pre-Freddy Krueger Robert Englund. He looks really young. He's a pretty funny character named Buck, who's like sex obsessed and kind of perverted, kind of perverse, really funny. Has some really funny lines. I always like watching him, no matter what. Even aside from, of course, Freddy, which is what he's best known for, obviously. Also, Marilyn Burns is in this movie, who was in the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I think Janice Blythe from The Hills Have Eyes is also in this, I believe. It's been a while since I watched this. I don't remember too much about it, but I remember being very entertaining and very, very good movie, very well done. Some pretty creepy scenes, some good suspense, some good gore. You can definitely tell that it was made by the same guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this definitely, if you check out the movie, definitely check out this 2-disc special edition. It's loaded with some pretty cool features, documentaries, some interviews of the great Tobe Hooper as well, which would be really sad to watch now that he's gone, which is very unfortunate. Also, a Robert Englund documentary, which is pretty cool. My Name is Buck. It's probably one of my favorite characters he's done, other than Freddy. One of my favorite non-Freddy characters in this film. So it's pretty cool to see a young Englund. Also some alternate scenes and stuff. Definitely check out this 2-disc special edition. I definitely recommend this movie. It's not really very well known. It's not one of his more popular films, but I'd say definitely give it a watch. if you're a fan of the man's work, which is definitely one of his better ones. Then of course the Fun House. Definitely check this out. It's probably my, I guess my what, fourth favorite or whatever. Um, I'm not really putting them in order, so screw it. Screw the top 5 list. Let's just talk about like some of my handful of my favorite movies from him. Yeah, I've reviewed this movie before. It's one of the early videos I did. It features a very interesting horror villain and a really awesome setting in the amusement park. It stars Elizabeth Barrage and Cooper Huckabee, who was really young at the time, obviously. And they get trapped in an abandoned amusement park that's closed after hours. And they're hunted down by the demented carnival barker who works there, and his son, who's like a deformed, grotesque maniac with a crazy looking face. The makeup job is just insane. Pretty good effects though, nonetheless. This is a very, very fun movie. It's definitely the fun housing, got fun in the title. I definitely recommend you check it out. I will say that the main characters aren't like all that interesting. They're a little two-dimensional. They have some funny lines here and there, but it's still very fun to watch. But I was still kind of rooting for them. The killer was so cool too, and it's like a fortune teller, really, really sleazy amusement park. This movie's just full of like kind of nasty, uncouth white trash characters. Carnies who like probably barely ever shower and just treat their customers like crap. It's a really cool scenes. They definitely build the atmosphere really well. It takes a long time before it gets to the horror scenes. They really show a lot of shots of the amusement park, which is cool. I think more horror films need to take place in this type of setting, like a carnival or something. Kind of like the ending of the climax of Child's Play 3, which was cool. Definitely check this one out. It's definitely one of his better films also. Then, of course, Salem's Lot, which everybody knows about this movie. This is a classic. One of the best vampire movies. One of the coolest vampires in Kurt Barlow. It's an adaptation of the Stephen King book, and it definitely strays quite significantly from the source material. The 2003 version was a little closer to the book, but it was kind of out of order. Both of them have certain things that they followed the book, and then certain things they took liberties with. I'd say this is the better of the two, honestly. Though it's a close. I liked the newer one too. Kurt Barlow here, played by Reggie Nalder, is a little closer to that of Count Orlok from Nosferatu than he is an actual character in the book. He was a sophisticated vampire who could talk and communicate with people, and he looked normal. He didn't look like the grotesque, monstrous, fanged demon here. But I think it was pretty cool. Cool makeup job. Reggie Nalder's an underrated actor too, by the way. He was in one of my favorite Star Trek episodes, and it's really cool here. Plays a great villain. And then Ben Mears, the writer, the main character. I really enjoyed watching him. And he teamed up with that young boy. A very great story. The book is really good too. I read the book back in junior high, and I loved it. And this is a pretty good adaptation. It doesn't come near the book, but it's really good. Tobe Hooper's directing skills are definitely prevalent here. This is another good example of why he was such a great filmmaker. So definitely check this one out. If you love horror, if you love vampires, and most of all, if you love Tobe Hooper's directing style. Then also Poltergeist. Now this is an excellent movie. This is probably my favorite haunted house movie. My favorite movie featuring ghosts, right up there with The Shining and Amityville Horror and so on and so on. This movie is so much fun. Now, Steven Spielberg had a huge influence on this. In fact, I think he would have directed it if not for already being committed to E.T., which came out around the same time. Great special effects, really awesome scenes, really cool looking ghosts. Some really, really frightening scenes, but also some really fun scenes too. Like, you can watch this movie with your family. It kind of feels like a family movie. It's only rated PG. There are some pretty intense, over the top scenes though. And I think if it was made today, it'd probably be PG-13, like a stupid remake, which didn't do it justice. Skip over that crap and stick to the original. It's followed by 2 sequels, which were both pretty good in their own way too, but none of them would compare to the original. This was just great. Yeah, there were the Freelings, Carol Ann Freeling, and is the young daughter who gets kidnapped by the ghosts and goes to like another dimension. They have to save her, and then Tangina, played by Zelda Rubinstein, comes and says, you gotta, Carol Ann, don't go towards the light and stuff. With her weird voice. I heard she worked as a phone sex operator prior to this movie. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, this is definitely one of Tobe Hooper's best work for sure. This movie's just excellent. The acting by JoBeth Williams and Craig T. Nelson is all great, and then I love the scene with the clown doll that comes to life. Really creepy there. We all knew it was coming, but it took forever for it to actually happen, and it made it that much more rewarding when it did. It was so suspenseful. Then the tree that comes to life, and then the face the ripping the face off scene, like right in front of the mirror. Really bloody, really gory, a great special effect. It looked pretty real, especially for the standards of 1982 when the film came out. I love that scene, the decomposing face. It's so cool. They ruined it in the remake, by the way. But anyway, who cares? Let's not even mention that. Definitely check this movie out. It's wonderful. I reviewed this before. At least I think I did. Yeah, pretty sure I reviewed Poltergeist. Yeah, I think I did. So check that out if you haven't already. I've reviewed so many movies now that like I've done so many movies that I'm almost getting to the point where I like some of them I can't remember if I did them or not. But I'm pretty sure that I had to have reviewed this. If I haven't, then I really need to. But yeah, I think I did. Check it out. Great movie. Highly recommended. Definitely one of his all-time best movies. This movie's a masterpiece. Very scary, very fun, just very, very entertaining, and very sophisticated and in-depth too. You know, it's not mindless, cheesy popcorn fun. It's really actually really deep and really well done, really well written, very intricate, very compelling. Yeah. Poltergeist rules, and I love ghosts, I love haunted houses, and this movie does it all right. It has it all. All right, then. Yeah, I guess you could say the number one spot or whatever, but definitely the last movie that is that I gotta mention. Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. I love these movies. I've talked about these ad nauseum, so I'll go ahead and just kind of sum it up by saying. Check them out. They're amazing. They're especially the first one, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 is a masterpiece. And that Tobe Hooper's gone, man. Like a lot of people who worked in this movie are no longer with us. Tobe Hooper now. You got Gunnar Hansen, Marilyn Burns, Jim Saito, Paul A. Partain. A lot of the people that worked on this are gone. It's really, really sad. I was devastated when Gunnar Hansen was gone, and how the director's gone too. Just like, man. Very, very tragic. Yeah, this movie's a masterpiece. It's a classic in every sense of the word. It does everything right. It feels so real. It feels like you're there. It feels like you're really there. It feels like it was filmed with a video camera. It feels very documentary style. It feels like a real crime was caught on camera. And then this was years before the whole found footage crap, too. So this movie was like, this is so inspirational and so groundbreaking at the time. People left the theaters in a state of shock. I know maybe it's a little dated now. People probably prefer the remake because it has pretty explosions and gore, and all the kids today are just all about style over substance. But this movie did it right. This is a true horror classic. Very well written, very well done. It's just incredible. Leatherface is one of the greatest villains ever, played by Gunnar Hansen. He's just incredible. It's I can't praise it enough. This movie's just it blows me away every time. I cannot give it enough credit for what it's done for the horror genre. And then the sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. I've reviewed this before. I've talked about it to death. It takes it in a slightly different direction. This one's way more like fun and entertaining, more filled with gore. Definitely kind of a horror comedy road. It's not really as deep and sophisticated as the original. It doesn't feel very real. It's very over the top, very surreal actually. Very kind of unbelievable, a little implausible too. This movie's just a lot of fun. It's I love this in a totally different reason. I love this one and the first movie in totally different ways. This one's a totally different movie, has a totally different tone, totally different feel. Lefty, played by Dennis Hopper, is like a badass protagonist. He's one of my favorite heroes in the horror genre. Carolyn Williams, who plays the damsel in distress, is a great screamer. Bill Johnson plays Leatherface. He's not as good as Gunnar Hansen, but I think he still did a good job considering. And then Jim Saito returns as the cook, Drayton Sawyer. But I think the most fun character is Chop Top, played by Bill Moseley. He's just hilarious and just a hoot. He's just a riot to watch. But yeah, just to check this out. I think it's a great sequel. And I know a lot of people hate it because it didn't... It kind of felt like more of a parody of the original than a follow-up, but I love it, and I always will. I love these movies, and I'll probably be watching a lot of them today to honor the late and great Tobe Hooper. Again, rest in peace. You'll never be forgotten. All right, guys, I'm Hellhound, and let us rejoice and celebrate the man's life by talking about some great movies that he was behind, because he was truly a legend and had a truly remarkable catalog of groundbreaking films. All right, guys, I'm Hellhound, and until next time.